Okay, so like I said, the divorce, which I thought was going to be amicable and easy after all the therapy and the nonsense, and like, all right, obviously we cannot stay together, ended up taking a year and costing $100,000. And then at the end of
Jesus.
that, my wonderful divorce lawyer, who my ex threatened to kill, um,
Oh,
because he, was part of helping get me out of this relationship,
of course.
said your ex isn't going to comply with the orders. You can't keep affording me. I always say I'm paying back these loans forever just to get away from him. But you're going to have to go pro se, which means represent yourself. So
Oh.
because you can't, he's just going to decimate you. So I did. And I spent 7.5 years in court representing myself as my ex refused to pay for our kid, his share with the, our children's education, things we had agreed to. He just played games with. There was just all kinds of court stuff. I was constantly having to go to try to get our orders enforced. I always say that justice and karma took a long time, but they were finally served beautifully. In the process, my case was published as case law for the state, which is unheard of for someone who represents herself. It's
Wow.
like a big deal
Good
for a
for
lawyer. And
you.
yeah, so that was really huge.
Yeah. That's like
Um,
when they wait, so just so I'm clear and so anyone listening is clear, that's when like a lawyer in court will be like, "Oh, well, per Baker v. Baker,
yeah,
like
yes,
this is
yes,
why I can
yes.
do whatever." Okay.
Yeah,
I do watch a lot of court shows, so that's why I was
yes,
like, "Maybe that's what that is."
yes. So
Cool. Good for
mine is
you.
Connecticut case law, yes, from March of 2021. Yep. Yeah, so and I
Wow.
argued that myself. So yeah, I always say I'm really,
Dang.
really proud of that.
Yeah,
Got
you should
involved.
be. That's
Yeah.
outstanding.
Yeah. And yeah, and
Yeah.
then was able to help get something called Jennifer's Law passed in my state. So Connecticut became the third state to expand our legal definition of domestic violence to include something called coercive control. So all that invisible abuse, emotional,
Oh.
psychological, verbal, financial, sexual, legal abuse, revenge porn, stalking, isolation, digital abuse, all of that is now looked at and taken very seriously when it comes to orders of protection and custody arrangements. And so that happened while I was still, I mean, I was part of that movement. And then also, I ended up in front of the judge who kind of was involved with the case that Jennifer's Law was named after. And I was terrified, but I was arguing Jennifer's Law in terms of legal abuse to that judge. And she ended up giving me some of the best orders ever, which finally finished the case after all those years. So,
Oh.
really grateful for that. My ex then tried to sue my partner, Chris, and I for $4 million in defamation in civil court. We got that thrown out. And then I always say our first baby came out. It's called Been There,
Mhm.
Got Out, Toxic Relationships, High
Wow.
Conflict Divorce, and How to Stay Sane Under Insane Circumstances. We specialize in something called legal abuse, which is where one person's ex is basically using the legal system to wear them down and bleed them dry financially. So obviously, I always say I got my best education in the trenches and bring a lot of authority
Yeah.
to the topic. At this point, my partner Chris and I, he's the male half of Been There Got Out, but we have been a couple for more than 10 years. He is, the
Oh.
love of my life. It is a completely different experience. He also experienced um, dealing with a very unhealthy marriage with children, with one of those types like my ex,
Uh-huh.
just on different ends of the spectrum. And our current book is coming out in a few months. It's called When Your Ex Turns the Kids Against You, and so that's a
Mm.
whole other thing we're working on. And we meet with men and women all over the world now. We have a very thriving business and helping them deal with these types of people in and out of the legal system. How do you co-parent with one of these people? And yeah, I always say like
Wow.
all roads led to this.
Yeah. I mean, what a story of redemption.
Yeah.
Like, to just completely 180 your life after going through all of this, surviving all of this, and then fighting your own battle in court.